Considering this is a very up and down episode of NXT, it's kind of cool that I've got a lot of other things to talk to you guys about before we even get into the show. So let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Rally Check here with your January 20th, 2021 NXT review. We are almost through the first 1/12 of the year that's supposed to be the year after 2020. Are we there? Are we fuck? We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a lot of stuff to talk about before I even get into the show tonight. First and foremost, I'm going to get into the house cleaning like we always do, and I've got a lot of house cleaning. I warned you guys last week. My area is back in lockdown, which means I got fuck all to do, like fuck and all to do. So I told you, you guys are going to get bombarded with content, and here we go. On Monday, we let loose a review of the first 2 episodes of WandaVision with myself and Kristen. On Tuesday, we released the review we finally did on 2019's Joker. So shout out to Kristen for slogging through Joker with me. Not the most fun movie we've reviewed. Still a movie that I really love, not gonna lie. WandaVision's great. I welcome anybody down in the comment section below to tell me that WandaVision isn't great. We'll have another review hopefully coming up off the back of this coming weekend. And I can say this because it's already in the can. Tune in Friday after SmackDown. Guapo and I finish off our highlight on the AEW Tag Team Division. And yes, believe it or not, we did manage to say some really nice things about AEW. Now, on the cards, coming up, can't promise anything because it hasn't actually been done yet. Jake DeMarco and I are going to finish off our highlight on the NXT Women's Division. It's going to tie in a lot to the Women's Dusty Classic, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Also, if all things are equal, if the wrestling gods, JBL and the rest of them, are all smiling, are all in our favor, I'm hoping to get myself, Jake DeMarco, and Guapo together to preview the Royal Rumble. Now, it's going to be a very, very different Royal Rumble, and it's going to be a very, very different kind of preview because it's going to be me that doesn't review the main roster at all, Jake DeMarco, who usually comes here to do NXT stuff with me, and the guy from Enemy Territory, Guapo, representing the AEW side of things, and we are going to be talking about the Royal Rumble, which I think could either be a 2-minute conversation or a 2-hour conversation. Especially coming off the back of some of the news that we heard over the past couple of days about WrestleMania. WrestleMania is going to be in a stadium. Apparently, they're going to try and get 15,000 people in there over 2 nights, which means we're not going to get a takeover that same weekend, which I have mixed opinions about and whatever. But it is what it is. There's a lot of stuff going on. And yes, as it says right on the notes, or else I forget to do it, gotta plug the socials. If you are watching me right here on YouTube, the Pretty Sexy Face and the Gimmick Hat, you want to find me in an audio platform, you want to go to Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google, all the other fun places. Go look up Spaz Phoenix Podcast. If you're listening to me in an audio form, which means you don't see the Pretty Sexy Face and you don't see the Gimmick Hat, you want to find me on YouTube, just search Spaz Phoenix. Go to Spaz Phoenix and Spaz Phoenix 1 on Twitter, Spaz Phoenix on Instagram, Spaz Phoenix Podcast Facebook group, and throw comments down in the comment section below. Give me some likes, give me some shares. YouTube delights in telling me that, well, I do get the views here and there, I don't get the interaction. So throw something down in the box below. Even if it's, hey Spaz, I left you a comment. I would love to see a whole bunch of, hey Spaz, I left you a comment in the comment section below. Now, even still, that's everything going on with me. WandaVision, more WandaVision coming. Joker reviews. We're going to be doing Unbreakable Split and Glass eventually. We're going to be doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier eventually. We got some AEW stuff up there with myself and Guapo. More NXT stuff coming up with me and Jake. The Rumble is coming up. WrestleMania is coming up. Lots and lots of stuff on this channel. Now I got to talk about something that I have not talked about on this channel in a long time. Because, quite frankly, it hasn't been worth talking about. But that's 205 Live. And I'm really only mentioning 205 Live because they did 2 of the first round matches of the Dusty Classic on 205 Live. Now, they weren't matches that I was really looking forward to, but it is kind of strange. My prediction is that they did this because they're doing both Dusty Cups at once. Now, I believe I said it last week. I've said it on social media a lot. I don't agree with them doing both Dusty Cups at once. You'd have a lot more stretched out storytelling if you did the one and finished it off at, say, the pay-per-view, and then did the rest of the time. My camera's flashing at me. We're going to fix that right now, and I'll be right back. I love technology, don't you? And that was just a quick cut. You didn't even have to deal with me charging my camera again. It's fine. 205 Live, we had two more matches for the Dusty Classic. We had Legado del Fantasma versus the Bollywood Boys. Gee, I wonder what happened there. We had Dane and Maverick taking on Stallion and Gray. Gee, I wonder what happened there. Legado del Fantasma is either going to take on the Lucha House Party or Imperium next. We're going to find that out in a minute. Dane and Maverick defeating Stallion and Gray will take on MSK next round. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen there. We got the announcement. We got the announcement of the brackets for the Women's Dusty Cup. Big surprise, there's only 8 teams for the women's, but it is what it is. But with all that, we got the announcement of 3 new talents to NXT that are going to debut in this tournament. We got Gigi Dolan, who is formerly known as Priscilla Kelly, who I know a little bit about. I think I've seen maybe a grand total of 3-4 of her matches. Unfortunately, I more so know her for the spot that she did at that indie show where she did the thing with the tampon that we don't talk about anymore. But from the little bit that I saw of her and the little bit that I remember, I do like her. I want to see more of her, etc., etc. Wasn't she in one of the Mae Young Classics? Or am I wrong? She will be teaming in the Dusty Classic with Cora Jade. No idea who Cora Jade is. Apparently formerly known as Elena Black. Don't know who Elena Black is. Sorry about your luck. So they're going to be a full new team. They're going to be the MSK of the Women's Dusty Cup. Then you got Zoe Stark, who's formerly known as Lacey Ryan, who I also don't know, and she's teaming up with Marina Shafir. Now, there's a couple things here. Marina Shafir, is she staying in NXT because Roderick Strong is there? Maybe. But where's Jessamine Duke? Has Jessamine Duke been let go? Is Jessamine Duke being a jobber waiting in the wings on the main roster? Because Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke were a tag team. They were in that little stable with Shayna Baszler and all that sort of thing. So her having a new partner is kind of weird. Now, as far as new talent coming over, there's going to be content coming out on this channel, maybe not until next month now. We've already done the highlight on the women's division, all that sort of thing. We will do further content on other talent we wish was coming to NXT. I may do the same thing with Guapo for tag teams that they should do to AEW, which is all of them, isn't it? But the one thing that dropped over the past weekend as well was the fact that Taya Valkyrie is no longer with Impact. Now, you guys know I keep Impact sort of on my periphery. I don't really watch it week to week. I can't be bothered to watch an entire two-hour television show on Twitch. I'm sorry. But I did catch Hard to Kill in between recording various podcasts and whatever. I threw on Hard to Kill, found it on Illegals. Somebody actually hashtagged me. I think, was it Strife19? Was it you? Am I looking at you? Tagged me in a post, hashtag Spaz paid for Hard to Kill because of the whole thing that went down a couple years ago, hashtag Spaz paid for Bound for Glory. No, hashtag Spaz found a free stream to watch Hard to Kill between taping podcasts. But it was alright, eh? It was alright. The Sammy Callahan, Eddie Edwards, the Barbed Wire Massacre was what they called it, was not bad. Some of the women's matches weren't bad. The women's tag team tournament, there's a person holding a women's title in pro wrestling named Hogan, and it's not Brooke. Moving on, I'm going to be the guy that says it. Couldn't be paid to give a fuck about the main event, and I know it's celebrating the big orgy between AEW and Impact. I'm not down. You're not going to sell me on Omega versus Rich Swann. You had Moose in there for reasons. I know one of the Motor City Machine Guns either has personal reasons or travel reasons why he couldn't be there, all that kind of thing. Overall, I think the show was really fun. I think it suffers like crazy from not having fans now that all the other companies, be it AEW, NXT, WWE, etc., have some sort of fan participation, whether it's the Thunderdome, whether it's the limited crowd at AEW, whether it's the mix of the two in NXT. Watching Impact, where there's nothing except literally a wrestler on the outside who's the person that would be standing in the crowd if there was a crowd, it takes away from it so much. And I know they piped in some crowd noise, and I know that means that it's the same sort of noise that's in the Thunderdome, but it's not the same, is it? I'm not here to take the piss. I did watch the show. I did watch it from beginning to end. I did think it was good. Now, Ethan Page versus the Karate Man. I'm not going to say anything about that. Once again, if you're watching right now, throw it over in the chat. If you're not watching, if you're watching it later on, throw it down in the comment section below. That'll be another great excuse for you guys to leave comments. Tell me what you thought about Ethan Page versus the Karate Man, because that was B-movie terrible mixed with Mortal Kombat. Remember the second shitty Mortal Kombat sequel mixed with, like, Fight Club? I don't know. I don't know what that was. But anyways, coming off the back of that, I know Ethan Page is out too. Throw him in NXT. I wouldn't hurt my feelings. But Taya Valkyrie is the big one that I've said, you know, would she come over? I mean, Morrison is on the main roster, so would she skip NXT and go to the main roster? I don't know. I heard somebody put out a rumor that she was going to help Miz and Morrison cash in on whoever wins between Goldberg and Drew McIntyre at the Rumble. That's a very auspicious debut. You're going to help your boyfriend's friend win a title off of potentially an old guy. That's a debut to help somebody else. I don't even know. I've lingered on that long enough. It's a very bizarre suggestion and scenario. Now, the full brackets for the Women's Dusty Cup have been announced. As I say, it's only 8 teams. It's the first time they've done it. They did do a couple of Dusty Classics that were only 8 teams, so it's not that far off the mark. But you've got Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart taking on Shafir and Zoe Stark. You've got The Way taking on Gigi Dolan and Cora Jade, so we'll see how they do. Storm and Martinez are taking on Catanzaro and Carter tonight. We'll get to it. Kai and Gonzalez taking on Aaliyah and Jessie Camilla. That rhymes. I'm going to mess that up at least once, I guarantee it. We came into the CWC tonight. Oh, man. We're finally getting to the show. 7 minutes in. 7 minutes in. I don't even waffle that much on the house cleaning, do I? But we get into the show. We come into the CWC. Very first thing we notice is side by side are the proper ring and the fight pit, which immediately made me laugh because I wouldn't have thought of it at the time. Everybody and their uncle was assuming that they were going to pre-tape the fight pit thing because you have to do all the setup for it and whatnot, and you wouldn't be able to do it in a timely fashion to keep a live show going. But what I didn't think of, and what I should have thought of right away, is they just did War Games. They just did War Games with 2 rings side by side. So what do? They set up the ring, they set up the fight pit, they put the commentators' table in between the two. And I think when the fight pit started at the end of the night, they just turned the commentator's desk around, which is fine. Speaking of the commentary table, Beth Phoenix was on commentary. And yes, Beth Phoenix has been on commentary the whole time, but she's been doing it remotely. Beth Phoenix was live on camera and did have a very prominent spot in the proceedings as we go on later on. Really, really good to see her back, and it does make a difference, all 3 of them being there live versus 2 of them being there live and trying to sort of keep bringing her in a little bit. It was noticeable. It's I'm still not going to say, I know there's a lot of people out there that are still going to say that, oh, the commentary's terrible because they don't like Nosferatu and all that kind of thing. And there's still some dickheads out there that say they don't want women on commentary. And listen, I like to make the sexist jokes as much as the rest of everybody, right? But that's not even a joke. That's just, you're being a dick, and she's good. And Renee Young would have been good if they had let her be good. And yeah, she's interviewing Tony Khan now. Fuck me. Moving on. Big shout out to my hometown girl, Renee Paquette, though. All jokes aside, all Tony Khan-ism aside, she's got her own podcast now and it's being really successful. You know what doesn't scream success for me is marketing your weekly wrestling show around a kid's birthday. Just putting that one out there. Just putting it out there. We started off the night in the right way, kind of, sort of, except for the result. Kushida and Leon Ruff taking on The Way, Gargano and Theory. And yes, I still cheer for The Way. Yes, I still cheer for Gargano. And yes, I still cheer for Theory. And yes, I want you to keep being mad about that if you're mad about it. Moving on, Theory and Ruff start the match as a collar with tie up a headlock by Ruff, a takedown by Theory, a drop kick by Ruff, double arm breaker by Ruff and Kushida, followed by some chops, arm breaker by Kushida, a takedown by Theory, heavy right hands by Gargano, and stomps on the limbs. Almost a miniature Orton stomp, you might say. Both men trade some forearms. There's a hard Irish whip by Theory, double back elbow by The Way, and a double boot. Body shots by Theory, flying elbow by Ruff. Weird twisting. I don't know what to call this, and this is one of those things where I wrote, though, he did a weird thing, and then I try to explain it. Basically, he took him from the, what is it? The torture rack position. I don't know why I'm doing the thing with my hands. If you're listening on audio, you saved yourself from watching that. But he took him basically from a torture rack position or an inverted Death Valley Driver position and spun him out into like a Blue Thunder Bomb. It was really cool, and that sent us into the commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, there's a neck vice with a post by Gargano, mule kick by Ruff, a back elbow off the back of the head by Ruff. There's a lot of back elbows to the back of the head by people tonight. I'm just going to put that one out there. Top rope stunner by Ruff, a handspring elbow by Kushida, DDT on the floor by Kushida, and a cross arm breaker. Enziguri by Gargano, Ushi-Goroshi by Gargano. Arm lock suplex thing with a bridge out of nowhere. Gets the 1, 2, 3 for Ruff and Kushida. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to talk shit. I really don't. Ruff is a fun guy to watch. I really do like Kushida. When they get onto the singles match for the championship, that will mean something eventually. And he did get the pin on the champion. That's a good thing for him. That's story building going forward. I don't know why, storyline-wise, you would put these guys that are only together because they hate the other team over two guys that you're trying to get over as a team. Doesn't make any sense to me. Yes, I will admit I'm quite biased. I like The Way. I like Gargano and Theory and LeRae and Hartwell. I think they're a good unit. This completely obliterates my idea of both teams from The Way winning both Dusty Cups, because I think that could have been a cool story going forward. But Ruff and Kushida are going to face the Grizzled Young Veterans next round. Now, not only are Grizzled Young Veterans a team that they are massively pushing right now and could win the whole thing, you can expect some payback from The Way. So I think Ruff and Kushida's ride through this stops in the next round. Grizzled Young Veterans are going to kill them. Kushida's going to go on and face Gargano and hopefully lose. It's fine. We move on. We see a pre-taped video package in the back of Dunn basically saying all the same things that he said in his promo last week to Balor. You know, people over here in North America, when they talk about British wrestling, they talk about me, but they always compare me to you, and that has to stop, and you're only one part of my journey towards the gold and all that kind of stuff. It's way better than I'm making it sound, but it's nothing that we haven't heard before. Karrion Kross takes on Ashanti the Adonis. Now, I like Karrion Kross. I really do. I like his whole aesthetic, his whole mood, his entrance is killer. And I like Scarlett. I wouldn't say no to Scarlett. This is a thing. What the hell was she wearing on her face? It looked like a burnt tree was on her face. And I know she's trying to pull off the Maleficent / Hela vibe, where you've got things like all like tendriling out and all that sort of thing. This looked like she was wearing a crown, but like on her face. It was a miss. It wasn't for me, Chief. But the strikes from Adonis do absolutely nothing. There's an overhead toss, a side suplex, 2 Saito suplexes, and that wicked back of the head shot that he used on Priest at the Big Show. And he gets the win. And then Desmond Troy, who's apparently Adonis's partner for the Dusty Cup, came out and he got the straight jacket after the match for reasons. Now, Desmond Troy and Ashanti the Adonis were not mentioned in the video that Jake and I did previewing the Dusty Classic because we didn't know all the teams. I think we only knew like 12 of the 16. I think I still predicted a couple of them pretty good, but it is what it is. We see a quick video package on MSK, who debuted last week. I'm not really going to go through what they said. It was a lot of them talking over footage of their match from last week. What I will say is, if you follow on social media, and sometimes you got to take happy shit just as happy shit. And I absolutely love going on social media and seeing people that are in different spots, in different parts of the roster, in different parts of the show, just having each other's backs. You see it a lot between Shotzi Blackheart and Karrion Kross and Scarlett. And there's a lot of mutual like social media support there. What we've seen in the past week between Casey Catanzaro, Caden Carter, and MSK, just sort of mutually boosting each other up as they both enter enter their respective Dusty Classic Cups is really cool to see. It's not going to change the show. It's probably not even going to become a part of the show. It's not even going to be referenced unless you are paying attention on Twitter or Instagram, but it's just nice shit. And especially when you've got a team like Catanzaro and Carter, who have always been around and are just now getting a spotlight, and MSK, who literally debuted last week, and they're helping each other up and they're helping each other out. I think that's really fucking cool. And I think the fact that they don't bring a little bit of that more into the spotlight, or at least, you know, get it retweeted out on the company thing or whatever, it's a missed opportunity, is what I'm going to say. You know what else is a missed opportunity? I hoped against hope that this would be a good match. Because you got one team that's not that exciting and one team that's dying on the main roster, and I thought that both teams collectively would have taken the opportunity to really, really show what they can do in the first round of this tournament. It was Imperium versus Lucha House Party, and I'm making the executive decision right now that I'm not going to go through any of my notes on Imperium versus the Lucha House Party, because the match was, I really wanted it to be good. I've been the one saying Imperium are the bland guys. They're the bodies that you put in the ring when you want somebody else to have the focus and whatever. And I've been saying Lucha House Party are the ones that died on Raw, and oh my god, if you brought them back to NXT and gave them some proper focus and let them actually do some shit like they did in the Cruiserweight Classic, they could actually, you know, turn some heads, prove some people wrong, etc. And this match just dragged. Like, it really did. It really... There were some good lucha things in there. There were some suicide dives and some botched... Like, they tried at one point, Imperium did, to do this weird elevated double-team DDT thing, and it botched, and I'm glad nobody got hurt. Facebuster, super kick by Dorado, and a shooting star press gets the win for Lucha House Party. You guys know me. I love NXT. I give them a lot of rope, but I also am more critical of them when they let me down with a match like this. This match could have been the match that you bumped to 205 Live. This, I don't know, man. I got nothing. Apparently there's going to be a bit of story, because after Imperium lost, the music hit up again, and Alexander Wolf was sort of standing there at the top of the ramp, sort of. And the guys took that to mean something. Now, if this is going to be another like Silver Surfer situation where like Alexander Wolf is here now and he's the harbinger of Walter coming back, and Walter's going to come back, beat the shit out of his guys, and get them back on a winning track, I don't even think I care about that at this point. That's the thing. I was about to say I'd be down for that. But as I think about it, as I stare into this camera, looking myself in the eye, because that's how the friggin' screen works, I don't even think I'm down for that. I really don't. I want Walter to come in and destroy a couple people. That'd be fun. Like have a stare down between Walter and Karrion Kross or something like that. But this is just whatever. And the most predictable thing in the world is that Lucha House Party go on to face Legado del Fantasma in the next round. Now, that will be fun, especially building off of what we get later on. But this wasn't it, Chief. This really wasn't it. The Cruiserweight Championship match that happened last week, and the tag team match that they did the week before with Legado del Fantasma to show us what they can do, were good. They make me feel good about the next round match. But, I mean, Lucha House Party's not winning the Dusty Classic. Like, it is what it is. Now, what I thought was really cool, and what I think NXT does a little bit better than WWE main roster, a little bit better than some other companies out there. They do acknowledge when there is a change in the air, where something's different or new or a first time or whatever. They had William Regal out there with all the women for the Women's Dusty Classic, and he turns the microphone over to Beth Phoenix to talk about what the Dusty Cup means to the women, what NXT has meant to the women's revolution, and sort of the revitalization of, hey, women can actually wrestle in WWE. She pays some tribute to the past of former women's champions that have, you know, taken part in the revolution. Obviously mentions the Horsewomen, obviously mentions Baszler and Asuka and all these different women. And the weird thing about this is all 8 teams were out there, and nobody did anything. and she just sort of like set them on their way type thing. And she said, by the way, the first match is happening right now. It's Casey Catanzaro and Kayden Carter taking on Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez, which is great. But she called down both teams to sort of where she was standing in the center and just sort of sent all 4 of them to the ring. So all 4 of them went to the ring to the NXT theme music. So the very first ever Women's Dusty Cup, neither of the first 2 teams got an entrance. Now, if you're one of the first people to ever compete in this historic first ever Women's Dusty Classic, you'd want an entrance. Like, I know that that's such a minuscule, minor thing. It really is, but it was the only part of it that was a bit off. I think it was really cool that they had Beth Phoenix kick it off. I mean, she's part of the commentary team anyway. She's part of the NXT family, if you want to put it there. But the fact that William Regal announced Beth Phoenix and then let her take the reins to announce this women's tournament, I thought it was a really nice, really classy touch. It's not going to set the world on fire, but I thought it was nice. Again, go back to the MSK and Catanzaro and Carter just being nice on Twitter. It's just nice. We've got a little bit of leftover 2020 in our 2021. We need some nice shit. What was good, though, is Catanzaro and Carter taking on Storm and Martinez. Now, Casey Catanzaro and Kayden Carter are basically the young bucks, but a bit better. It's fine. Carter and Storm start the match as a collar and elbow tie-up, and Carter cranks on the arm a lot. Headlock by Carter, shoulder tackle by Storm. Obviously, the size difference is huge. They keep mentioning that Casey Catanzaro is the smallest person on the NXT roster. Now, A, that's obvious. B, they don't have to beat it over the head so much. C, we have eyes. We can see we're watching the match. It's fine. I can read my writing, I swear. Cheap knockdown by Martinez and a neck vice with a post. Body shots by Catanzaro and a boot by Martinez and a power slam sends us into the first commercial break. Overhead choke suplex by Martinez as we come back, followed by a snake eyes, followed by some chops. Top rope Rana by Catanzaro is beautiful. Catanzaro, man, like, Ricochet might not be having a very good life on the main roster right now, man, but when he goes home, he's going 12 rounds, isn't he? Series of knockdowns by Carter. I can read my writing, I promise. Dropkick and a splash. Basement dropkick by Carter. A corner crossbody by Catanzaro. Headbutt by Storm. German single leg crab by Storm. EO takes out Martinez on the outside, and it gets pretty fucking good. Carter taps out Storm. Sorry, Carter traps Storm's legs, and this was... I don't know what to say about this. This was really good. I like it. Okay, I need to stop saying it was really good a lot, but they're the small ones in the match. They've lost one of their giant competitors through means not of their own, so they're going to take advantage of the 2-on-1 advantage. So what did they do? They put Carter puts her in this modified Indian Deathlock thing, leaving her prone, leaving her helpless, leaving her not able to escape what's about to happen. Catanzaro hits what I can only describe as an inverted black arrow senton from the top, and they didn't give it a name. That's fine, but it got them the win. It got them the win, and I'm happy about this, because going back to the first match, going back to Ruff and Kushida versus The Way, Ruff and Kushida are not an actual team. Gargano and Theory are a new team, but they are an established now team. Now, anybody that has seen me, anybody that saw me watch the Mae Young Classic 1 and 2, anybody that saw me when I was back reviewing NXT UK, anybody that saw me get really, really happy when they came over to main roster NXT, what did I say? Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm. Fucking stars. Toni Storm, fucking star. Mercedes Martinez, legit as fuck. They should be a powerhouse team. Am I happy that they lost? Yes. Because it actually takes the idea that a good team will beat 2 good singles wrestlers because it's a team match. And that makes a difference, and that matters, and it should matter. Catanzaro and Carter are going to go on in the next round to face the winner of Aaliyah and Camilla versus Kai and Gonzalez. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Kai and Gonzalez. I really hope they get another fluke. I hope they at least go to the finals. I'm not going to lie, now that they're not in front of me anymore, I can't remember how the brackets go. If it comes down to Catanzaro and Carter versus LeRae and Hartwell, That will be a good final, won't it? I'm already not going to get the final that I wanted on the men's side, which was the Undisputed Era versus The Way. We might get Undisputed Era versus MSK. We might get Grizzled Young Veterans versus MSK. If MSK goes through and they just are the shocker of the whole tournament, that's not going to hurt my feelings at all. Balor goes to Regal's office, finds him, says he wants Dunn because Dunn's been talking shit, but here's what I'm going to do. I want to take out the arms and the legs before I take out the head. I want Lorcan and Birch. Regal says, well, you know how things work around here. I can't do that unless you've got a partner. Go get yourself a partner. He sort of goes off on a bit of a tangent with, come on, man, you know this is the new me. I don't have any friends. Rah. So what could they possibly do with that? We get an announcement after the assault from Cross that Ashanti the Adonis is not cleared for his first round match in the Dusty Classic. Now, does that mean they're going to give Desmond Ford a new partner, or are they just going to sub a whole new team in? They weren't specific. Either way, that match was supposed to happen on 205 Live on Friday. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, and once again, it's going to be a put it down in the box below type situation. If they do more Dusty Classic tournament matches on 205 Live, do you guys want me to react to that and add it as a clip to next week's NXT review, or do you just want me to quickly talk about the results and move on? Because I can do both. I thought about doing it for this round, but I mean, it's Stallion and Gray who don't really have anything going on right now, and it's the Bollywood Boys who I, for a split second, actually thought were going to be back a relatively decent part of the show, and that's not a thing either. And that announcement gets interrupted by Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter, who are celebrating. They're going to win the whole thing. They're hyping each other up. It's all good. Tyler Rust versus Bronson Reed, because Tyler Rust wants to make a name for himself. He went and talked to William Regal without his representative, Malcolm Bivens, and got himself a match with Bronson Reed. And Bronson Reed, just look at the production value they're putting into his entrance alone. They're putting money and time and decent effort into Bronson Reed. So what happened in this match? I mean, Tyler Rust got destroyed, didn't he? Boot by Rust and a slam off the ropes, but a tsunami from Reed gets the win, is how that story goes. There's a whole lot of speed versus power throughout the entire match. Do you want me to break down to you every little bit of typical WWE speed versus power that there is? No, you don't. What you do want to hear me say is, in the middle of all this, they cut to the back where Shirai and Storm were brawling in the back because Shirai's beef with Mercedes Martinez just cost Toni Storm a chance to advance in the tournament, which is fine. I'm sure somewhere along the way we're going to get a match between Toni Storm and Io Shirai, which will do my heart no end of good. And then we will go on to the pay-per-view where it will be Mercedes Martinez taking on Io Shirai and possibly taking the title. Don't know how I feel about that yet. We're not there yet. That's in another couple of weeks. Balor goes and has an interview, says, you know what, I don't have very many friends around here, but there are a couple guys out there that really owe me a favor. I think it's about time to collect on my favor. We come back from the commercial break. It's him entering the Undisputed Era's dressing room, and I don't know why, per se. Like he's had respectful matches with Adam Cole, and they've exchanged respect afterwards. He's had 2 respectful matches with Kyle O'Reilly now, and they've shared respect after the fact. Just last week, they helped each other out in the situation with Dunn and his guys, and shown some respect there. I don't know why they're trying to, they over-egged it just a little bit, the tension between Undisputed Era and Finn Balor, but the end of the line is that Balor asks Kyle O'Reilly to be his partner to take on Lorcan and Birch, which has got a lot of interesting little things to it, because eventually they're going to take out Lorcan and Birch so that Balor can deal with his challenge from Pete Dunne, but also the other 2 members of the Undisputed Era that are not helping Finn Balor are in the Dusty Classic that would get them a tag team title shot against Lorcan and Birch. So it does all loop back. But what happens when Balor and Kyle O'Reilly defeat the NXT Tag Team Champions? Should they not be in line for a tag team title shot? There's so much going on there. And for all you people that are itching to pull the trigger on breaking up the Undisputed Era, which I'm not, they are sure putting a whole lot of different strings in motion that can be pulled to make that happen. I don't know. I don't understand the rush. I don't. From fans, from seemingly WWE and the way they're writing this, I don't understand the rush to break up the best faction you have in the company. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, 205 Live. I mean, They're clearly better than the wannabe NWO. They're clearly better than the Inner Circle. They're clearly better than the Hurt Business. They're clearly better than, whoever else you want to mention. They're better than the New Day. They're better, especially now, they're better than Imperium. So why would you want to kill the best faction going? Unless you're going to give that crown to the Way, which wouldn't hurt my feelings either. So, unless I missed something, they did not confirm when this match is happening. They were talking about it very, very much in a this is what's happening next week kind of way, but they didn't really confirm it. I'm going to say potentially this is happening next week. Don't know. And then a random Legado del Fantasma appeared. Joaquim and Raul are in the ring waiting for their boss to come down. He's coming down the ramp really slowly, bragging about himself, bragging about how he's the true champion of champions. He mocks Gargano for being a losing champion. He mocks Balor for being a glass-jawed champion. He mocks Karrion Kross for not even making it to his first title defense. And all of this was awesome in a way, but at the same time it really bummed me out, because the way he was talking about being the champion of champions, this was the perfect. I know that travel is fucked right now. I know we're all in lockdown, travel restrictions are in place and whatever, but you are getting other people over from NXT UK, especially now that we got Alexander Wolf, you got Pete Dunne, you got Imperium, you got the Grizzled Young Veterans. You're going to tell me you can't put Jordan Devlin on a plane and be like, I'm the real Cruiserweight champion or something like that? We're going to get Escobar versus Devlin at some point. That's what, instead of pulling the trigger on breaking up the Undisputed Era, which is probably one of the dumbest things they can do, from a creative point of view, from a ratings point of view, from a merchandise point of view, from a fiscal financial point of view, the worst thing you can do for NXT is break up the Undisputed Era. I'm sorry, that's just my personal opinion. One of the best things you can do, you want to put instant adrenaline into your Cruiserweight division, which should already be full of adrenaline anyway. Have two guys that are claiming to be the champion. Do the CM Punk John Cena thing where you both hold up the belts and okay, who's the real champion? That's good. You can even book it as NXT versus NXT UK. There's a little bit of intrigue there, and I'm more intrigued by that than I am by Dynamite versus Impact, because at least NXT has some crowd. Anyways, the way he was talking about all this, I thought we were leading to that. It wasn't. He puts over his boys, winning their first round match on 205 Live, but whatever. Talk about how they're going to win the Dusty Cup. They're going to be champion, and then we're all going to be the champions of champions. And then Lucha House Party comes out and tries to take them on 2-on-3. That doesn't work out in their favor very well. They get a beatdown, and then they're saved by Kurt Stallion, who is relegated to 205 Live. I don't remember when the last time I saw him on NXT was, if at all. And he lost his first round match in the Dusty Classic on the same night that these guys won their first. Tell me what puts this guy in the line of Cruiserweight anything. I don't. This is a miss. This is a miss for me, because I don't care. I'm sure it'll be great. Escobar is great. Legado del Fantasma is a great act. This being his next potential challenger, fuck no. Like hells and fuck no. And then we have the Fight Pit match, and I will tell you this right now. That's my note. Right there, right at the bottom of the page there. You can't see it if you're listening in audio. Thatcher wins the Fight Pit. That's my only note, because I actually wanted to sit down and enjoy this for what it was without having to look at my notes the whole time, right? Here's the deal with the Fight Pit. They had to make it different from last time, and they did. They had to get rid of what they didn't need from last time, which was the guest referee, which was Kurt Angle, which was fine and it fit and it made logical sense and all that sort of thing, but you didn't need it this time around. And the way these guys fought around the platform, around the pit, before even getting into the pit, the way that Ciampa just ragdolled him around the ring, in quick succession, he hit him with the Willow's Bell, the fairy tale ending, and almost choked him out. Now, that shit has put away people on TakeOver in title matches. Thatcher coming back from that and just whipping him about. And the way... I talk a lot about somebody like a Pete Dunne who takes the hand and bends it and bends the wrist and then bends the elbow and does the joint manipulation all the way along. The way he bent Thatcher's fingers back and then spiked them into the ground, I don't know that I've seen. I'm sure it's not a brand new thing. Somebody's going to correct me down in the comment section below. I welcome you to, or you're going to do it in the chat over there, and I welcome you to that too. But it was different enough, and you could see at one point in the match there was a little bit of a gap between where the two walls of the cage came together and where the ring post is, because there's a ring post even though there's no ropes, which is weird. But when he put him up at the end, he locked one of his legs in between the intersection of the door and cranked the other leg into a modified Brock lock. You're gonna break him in half. Thatcher wins the fight pit. Thatcher maintains his, like, the fight pit is his match. It's like, the buried alive match for the Undertaker type thing. I don't think this hurts anybody. I don't think this hurts Ciampa because he stepped into somebody else's world and he held his own and all that kind of thing. I don't have much to say about it other than it was really good. And if you're watching this for some reason but you haven't seen NXT, go back and watch the fight pit match. I think the amount of stuff that they did on the top was really good. I think the way they did the slingshot maneuver, where you would slingshot somebody up into the second or third rope, but they did it in the metal guardrail at the top of the pit, was a pretty decent looking spot, and Thatcher actually sold. Now Thatcher, being somebody that doesn't sell very often, selling that made it a lot better as well. Didn't look like anybody was holding anything back. It wasn't quite the same as the first one, obviously, because Riddle is an MMA guy and Ciampa isn't. I am going to say, much like I say about the Theory stuff earlier on in the night, I like Theory, and if you don't like that, you can go fuck off. You have my reasons. Go back to the all the shit that me and Jake did on why these situations are different than the Velveteen Dream situation, are different from some other situations out there, if you want me to explain it, because I'm not going to explain it again. There's a growing popular thing right now because all of a sudden Matt Riddle's a bad guy, so all of a sudden the first ever fight pit match wasn't quite as good as we thought. Oh, we took a second look at the match and actually it's not quite as good as we thought it was. No, you just decided you don't like Riddle anymore. You're a piece of shit. That's what that is. So overall, people are trying to doubt on the fight pit stipulation because the fight pit stipulation was created and the inaugural one had Matt Riddle in it. Like, that's such an overlayering of really, really bad, biased, pathetic logic. I can't give it credence. I just can't. But this was really good. They were sort of eye to eye. Neither one of them was really getting up at the end of the match. There was that look of like, I still don't like you, but I got some respect for you. I thought it was going to end on a handshake, honestly. There is the rumor or the popular opinion that they're going to make these guys a team at some point. I don't think you need to do that. I think you can have these guys, what's the expression? Two ships passing in the night. They passed each other. They wanted to see where they stood with each other. They've done that, and now they move on. I think you can just do that. I think you can just go on to the next thing. Now, whatever you do with Ciampa next, you're going to have to be careful with that. Whatever you do with Thatcher next can't waste the momentum that he's just gained tonight. But I don't think they have to do anything else. I don't think they have to fight again, for sure. But I don't think that they have to be a team or all of a sudden become buddies either. That's just me. I don't think that there has to be an anything after this. Anyways, next week it's Jessica Mia and Aaliyah taking on Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. Next week, I think we're getting that tag match between the champions and O'Reilly and Balor, and we'll see what else goes on from there. I'm sure there's more Dusty Cup matches. There's something I'm not thinking about because I've thrown the clipboard over there because I'm smart. Anyways, there was a lot to talk about. Anything that I talked about at the beginning of this show that I was much more interested in. The 3 new talents that WWE has signed and specifically put into the Women's Dusty Cup tournament. If you guys know more about them than I do, please give me suggestions, please give me background info, please give me, oh, hey, I've seen Priscilla Kelly a couple times and she was really good in this match, or the other ones whose name I can't remember at the moment. Tell me what you think of the Taya Valkyrie situation. Tell me what you think about my shitty takes on the Impact versus AEW situation. If you watched Hard to Kill, I'd love to know what you thought of that. Let me know what you think of the current WrestleMania situation. And going into next week, we are going to be talking about the Royal Rumble, so what the hell? Why don't you put your predictions for the Royal Rumble down in the comment section below? I've given you every reason possible to interact with me, to do what YouTube wants us to do in this community, and do some comments and some likes and whatever. Even if you're sick of me telling you to comment, go put that down in the comment section below. Anyways, it's very tired in here. I'm actually losing my voice. I've got a couple more things to record this week. I can't afford to lose my voice. That's it. That's all. That's your NXT review for this week. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye.